Hi class. We are Team Hard Rock Cafe and we are doing
Someone's singing, so let's stop let's stop the singing during it. Okay, keep on going.
Yeah. So I'm Abhimanyu. This is Tom, Aditya, and Abhigya. So we'll be presenting Hard Rock's global strategy.
Put photos.
Yeah. So as listed on Hard Rock Cafe's web page, these are listed as the pillars of operation: music, menu, merchandise, memorabilia, monument, and multimedia. So I think they decided to call it monument instead of just building to keep the M theme.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's more memorable. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So from that we can come to a conclusion of what their core competencies are. So the first core competency we identified was that they sell their culture and history. So they're an organization that's been around for over 30 years now, and they're quite effective at selling their culture and the history. And they're quite adept at providing a unique dining experience with loud rock and roll music and their signature items and such. Another thing we found interesting was their ability to manage a global supply chain that's quite complex in terms that they have multiple things that they're managing. Their food chain, the memorabilia has to be moved around, their merchandise and the music procurement and such. They have a signature casual ambience. They have an effective hiring process. Their hiring attitude is that we hire people for their attitude and then we train them to give them the required capabilities. Okay. So instead of going through an extensive history, we decided that other people will be doing that anyway, so we'll do a SWOT analysis and a question analysis for Hard Rock Cafe so that we know why they decided to pursue the global strategies that they do. So for those who don't know, SWOT analysis is an analysis that talks about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats an organization faces. It is an interesting tool that gives you an understanding of what the organization's current position is and how they deal with their opportunities and threats. So first, talking about the strengths of Hard Rock Cafe. They have a global presence. They're present in over 50 countries. They have a very strong celebrity endorsement, which means all their fans are going to go eat there. They have an extensive memorabilia collection. Like the other team pointed out, they have over 80,000 items. They have high brand equity. Hard Rock Cafe is a widely recognized brand. If you look at the logo, there's no mistaking it. They have an excellent ambience. They have a lot of on-premise events, and they organize a lot of local events on their premises. They have very strong distribution channels. Their menu is quite extensive. It includes their signature dishes, which are present across the globe. To whichever Hard Rock Cafe you go, you'll find those. And they also have they have adopted to their local cuisines and serve those as well. They have an extensive operational knowledge of in multiple businesses like cafes, hotels, and casinos. Going on to the weaknesses Hard Rock Cafe has, it's a very expensive restaurant. A lot of students don't go there. It's a theme restaurant, which means it narrows down your audience. I personally won't take my first date there, for instance. And at most times you need reservation. It's quite crowded. And given their hiring attitude, where they hire and then train to give employees their capabilities, the cost of training is rather high. The opportunities that they have, the global markets, we have come a long way from the recession and everyone has a lot of money, theoretically. There are new ways of improving operational efficiencies that they can adapt. The purchasing power in emerging markets is increasing, which means they have an opportunity to open a lot more cafes globally speaking. They can organize a lot more local events. Tourism industry is booming as a result of the factors 1 and 3, because we are post-recession and purchasing power is increasing. Threats that Hard Rock Cafe faces: strong competition. Trade wars that Donald Trump has started could affect any global organization. Movement towards local food service. We see this increasingly because restaurants these days are advertising that all that they're selling, 90% comes from within 50 kilometers and such. There is an increasingly changing trend in the music industry where people are streaming music instead of going to the store and buying records and Because if you go to a store to buy record, there's a chances that you'll go buy memorabilia as well, so that's coming down overall. Okay, so Porter's 5 forces analysis. So whereas SWOT focuses on your company, Porter's analysis is more about the industry as a whole, how attractive it is for a player in the industry to continue being in the industry or change it, or if you're a new entrant to the industry, you want to look at Porter's. So the first force we talk about is potential entrants. There is a high entry cost if you want to compete with Hard Rock Cafe, because Hard Rock has an established brand name. The capital requirement is quite high. Like we saw, they don't have buildings, or they don't, in most cases, they build monuments. So if you want to compete with Hard Rock Cafe, you have to build monuments and have a lot of memorabilia. But they already have 80,000, so it's going to be a pretty tough game catching up. Economies of scale, given they have lots of restaurants, they are able to leverage economies of scale, which new entrants will not be able to. And they have an established supply chain, which is very hard to imitate. The second factor would be customer loyalty. That is not something you can imitate. There's a very high learning curve. There's a lot of moving parts to an efficient operation of Hard Rock Cafe, and yep. So the next force in Porter's 5 forces is buyer's power. So buyer's power is what power you as a customer have over Hard Rock Cafe.
We've got about 10 minutes, so be careful of time.
Sure. So, yeah. So they have a large customer base. They have a very unique value proposition. They have customized menu depending on restaurants, especially their memorabilia is unique to each cafe. Supplier power. They have a large number of substitutes. As in, if you're supplying chopped onions to Hard Rock Cafe, they can dump you and go to anyone else real soon. Not much cost there. There's high competition among suppliers, which is beneficial to Hard Rock Cafe. Input has little impact on the cost, so it's a very expensive restaurant, and all the ingredients they use are high quality but not very expensive. They have very low cost of switching the suppliers. Threat of substitutes. What other options are there if you want to choose anything other than Hard Rock Cafe? All the substitutes available in the marketplace currently are inferior. That's primarily because of the longevity of rock and roll. So if your pop music changes far more rapidly than rock and roll does, right? So product differentiation. There's a very high cost of switching, especially because you're a loyal customer and you don't want to go anywhere else. The last force is industry rivalry. It's a very large industry. It can sustain multiple competitors. So even if you're a competitor for Hard Rock Cafe, it's not going to affect their bottom line much. It's a high growth rate industry. There are very few imitators. And with that, I'll hand over to my friend Veena, who will continue with the first question. Thank you.
Okay. Under 10 minutes.